members meeting. If I could ask you all to take your seats and we'll get started. First of all, welcome to all of you who have traveled near and far. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. I'm also pleased to announce that we have a quorum of members either in person or by proxy, so we are good to go. The first order of business is going to be the approval of the proposed agenda that you have before you. May I have a motion to approve that proposed agenda? Ron, a second? Thank you, sir. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Next order of business is the approval of the 2018 membership minutes that were posted online previously. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries.
You need to have the name of the people that make the motion in the second. If so, would you repeat those names?
Yeah. Whoever approved that motion, please state your name for us.
Seconded? Janelle London.
Janelle London seconded. And who initially made the motion? Was that you, sir? Mark Geller. Okay, very good. All right. We now have to appoint 3 inspectors of election. I would ask for a motion to appoint Tom Bresson, Natalie Berenger, and Elaine Borseth. May I have a motion to that effect? And please state your name as you make the motion.
So moved. Kelly Berry.
And may I have a second? And your name, please? Did you get that?
Always repeat it in the mic.
Peter Mackin.
Peter Mackin. Thank you, Ron. Ron, good guy. All right. For those of you who have not previously voted, ballots were handed out. If you've not already handed your ballots out, please now vote your ballots, fold it in half, and walk it back to the table in the back. Inspectors of election, you have been. Did I ask for a motion to approve that? You did. Thank you. Inspectors of election, you've all been appointed. You may now commence counting the ballots and the proxies. At this point, I'm going to turn this meeting over to our president, fearless leader, and inspirer of all. Regine, please take over.
Thank you. I'll try to live up to that inspirer for all. We are streaming this live, and to those of you who are streaming, we will be looking to your questions, so you can type them into the live chat, and they will go on to the Q&A session at the end, so you'll be able to participate. You have before you our agenda, so you can see that what we're going to do is a presentation on our 2018 achievements and look at the road ahead. We'll have a 10-minute break at about the hour point, then presentation of awards, Q&A, and then drum roll, election results at around 11:50. Then we will pick up our lunch, which will be delivered to the room over in the kitchen, and then quickly, in about 15 minutes, bring it back to our place so that we can hear luncheon speaker Dr. Eric Cahill of Plug-in America. So remind you of a couple things. Please silence your cell phones. And we do have an action-packed time for you today, including videos and lots of speakers. So hang on to your questions until the Q&A session at the end, right before our election is announced. What we're going to cover in our presentation this morning is the landscape of electric vehicle organizations today. When I first came into a chapter in San Diego, I was terribly confused. There was Plug-in America, there were collaboratives, then came Electrify America, you know, and where did Electric Auto Association fit in? So we're going to look at that and see where we sit today. We're also going to do a little think about getting the word out to who and what Electric Auto Association does. Then it will be my great pleasure to talk about our chapter achievements that have been going on all around the country. And we'll also have reports from committees, finance, membership, legislative policy, and National Drive Electric Week, indeed. And then we'll close up with some exciting new programs for you on Drive Electric Earth Day and a new program called EV Educate. So here we are in the beautiful city of San Francisco. What a gorgeous sunrise it was this morning. This annual meeting is a great time to take a look at our organization. After all, we're in our midlife. We are just over 50 years old. So it seems natural that we kind of do a little look at our identity. And in reflecting, we really want to celebrate the history of those early technologists, Walter Lasky and the 5 other people that got together and founded Electric Auto Association. And these were people who had the know-how to replace dirty fossil fuel burning gas engines with the better technologies of batteries. Fast forward to the present, we enjoy huge leaps in battery technology that have made the modern era of production EVs possible. And with market share gains, as we've seen in September with the Tesla Model 3 hitting number 4 in sales for all of the electric cars sold, what an achievement. And I think it was in September also that we hit 1 million EVs sold in the country. So we are in this new, very exciting time with kind of the wind behind our sails. And yet we ask, who is telling the story? Who is telling the public about the amazing leaps in the choices for clean fueled technology cars? And the disappointing fact is that the public is still largely unaware. So we look at who are the people who are on the forefront of educating the public. And in fact, Electric Auto is, of course, one of those nonprofits. To back up a minute for anyone who might not know me, I'm Raging Fellows. My background was as a business person for 23 years. I owned a staffing firm, so it was human resources. And I, in my retirement, got into work promoting the environment and getting rid of fossil fuel burning things, and got involved with a volunteer association and volunteer management, and then now, of course, with Electric Auto. Here are the organizations that I see as the top of who's out there in the electric vehicle environment. We have Forth, we have Plug in America, we have Velos, we have Center for Sustainability and Electrify America. So let's look for a minute at this little chart, which goes over, hopes to kind of sort through a little bit of who these people are and what they do. And we can see that their mission is pretty much the same: rapid adoption of electric vehicles. Where things start to change a little is when we look at funding, how many paid staff each of these groups have, what programs they work, and do they have geographic reach. And we look at ourselves, Electric Auto, 100% volunteer. We look at chapters. Nobody else has that geographic reach that we have, over 50 chapters throughout the country. And we look for funding. We are funded by member dues and individual donors, as opposed to the others who get their funding from corporations, California Air Resources Board, Dieselgate, and so on. So where does Electric Auto fit in, and how are we unique? Number one, Electric Auto is the only true member-based EV advocacy organization with thousands of members and subscribers who meet face-to-face with regularity. Our membership provides 95% our dues of our support. Our volunteer members take an active role in management and democratic elections. We don't have a board that appoints, suggests and appoints its own people. Anyone can nominate themselves. Very, very democratic organization. And we have the foundations of the technical knowledge and very smart people who really understand about the battery technology involved in electric cars. Why are chapters important? Chapter leaders, and I really celebrate them today. They ensure the sustainability, enabling EV owners and enthusiasts and the EV curious stay connected to the EV community by sharing information in meetings and working events together. And you'll hear later one of our leaders tell that it's not so much, a chapter is a family. We get to know each other, we're friends. Other organizations have donors and they have occasional volunteers. So, does the public know us? And this is a tough question, like when we say, how much does the public know about electric cars? Not as much as we would like them to, not nearly enough. So we're going to ask your help and run through a couple of things here to get us all on the same page, even though these are, you might think, very rudimentary things. We are all ambassadors, and we need to use our thousands of voices to tell simply and clearly what our organization does and why it matters. So, do we have our elevator speeches ready? Now, maybe I should change that to, do we have our parking lot speeches? Because I know Elaine is always telling me everyone's always coming up to her in the parking lot and saying, tell me about that Tesla. Does it really go as fast as they say? So our parking lot speeches. Who is Electric Auto? So very simply, this is who we are. We are the oldest and the largest nonprofit volunteer organization educating and advocating for electric vehicles with over 50 chapters across the United States and Canada, and we have members across the globe. What do? Educate and advocate for rapid EV adoption, and we just simply turn up with our EVs and talk about why we love driving electric. We do legislative and policy actions promoting charging infrastructure. And now we get around to, why is that really important? This one-on-one conversation that we have with consumers. Studies tell us that new technologies are best sold by word of mouth. So that means consumer decisions are best validated by a trusted voice, one who's actively using the technology. Does that make sense to you? I know you know it does, because you can feel it when you're having those conversations, what a difference it makes, the comfort that you can give people with what it's not necessarily a new technology, been around for a lot of years, but it is new to them. So these conversations, displays, ride and drives result in accelerating EV adoption. We know it does. Our mission is being fulfilled with a high degree of success. We're an absolutely essential player in the cause of rapid EV adoption. So now it gives me great pleasure to talk about our chapters, and you won't see them all here, but the people who had time to give us some of their chapter achievements for 2018, I'm going to run through some of those now. And first up is the Phoenix chapter. So they did 22 events, 80 volunteers, 55 test drives. Notable here is a fellow called Jerry Asher of the Tucson chapter. And by the way, Phoenix and Tucson work very closely together. He has an all-around Arizona ride coming up in February and March. And that's a real achievement to be proud of. So if you are there tuning in from a northern state and would like to get some sunshine and a fun, as he calls it, e-venture, contact Jerry, get out to Phoenix, and drive along with them. Then we have Stuart Unger in coal country, Kentucky. And guess where they're putting electric cars? It's the Sisters of Charity in Nazareth. I said, you mean to tell me the nuns are driving EVs? And he said, yes, they are. They're a very green group, and they've helped them put chargers in as well. The other thing they've done is this incredible movie, which is an hour-long crowdsourced documentary telling stories about how a clean future is possible everywhere, even in coal country. It's called Evolve. They did a wonderful charitable donation to Mike Olson, who has a terminal respiratory disease, and he now has the joy of driving an electric car. Next up, right here in California, Beverly Deshaw, who is the president of the Central Coast chapter, did 700 test drives, 55 events. And they're very happy and proud to work with a newly formed Community Choice Energy Group. And by the way, they have their EVs driving on 100% clean energy because of that Community Choice Energy Group that's picking 100% clean for everybody, not just the people who have solar on their roofs. So out in Hawaii, we have Big Island Electric Vehicle Association with Noel Morin, and one thing they're doing is partnering with dealers to teach them, get their staff certified. The other thing they made were a few fun clips that they created, video clips on maintenance, fun, and charging. Sacramento EVA. Now, what an incredible amount of promotion and education they do all year long. Look at this, almost 11,000 conversations. And Guy Hall is very big on collecting that data, and he gets the volunteers and the EV owner educators to do these clickers. Every time they've had a significant conversation with someone, they click, and they're able to count, which is beautiful to show the real impact that we have. And look at that, almost 3,000 test drives. I mean, this is incredible. It absolutely such achievements to be proud of there. Then we have right here in San Francisco, Golden Gate Electric Vehicle Association, serving Marin County and San Francisco and the East Bay. They have some big events. You're going to see some pictures. They've testified on building codes, and a few of them went down to Fresno. That was an important EPA hearing that they turned up for. And then they've run this EV 101 series of classes for the San Francisco Department of the Environment. Wonderful chapter, wonderful work. There they are out in Bel Air Shopping Center there and showing their EVs, a couple of kids looking under the hood. Houston Skypes. So some of the challenges our chapters face are how to have interesting programs for every meeting. Well, Houston just brings in 1, 2, 3 speakers from afar, and they Skype them right into their meeting. The other thing they like is electric airplanes. I did have a picture of one there. Sorry, it disappeared. But wonderful work out there in Houston. Electric Vehicle Association of San Diego. We have Elaine Borseth, who's here today, Tyson, who's just been incredible in the leadership there. And they are the top membership chapter out of all of our over 50 chapters. They have 116 national members. So for the very first time, Silicon Valley, if you're streaming this, and I know you are, I'm afraid they have surpassed you. You were our original chapter, and you will always be close to our hearts in every way. But, you know, here comes that newcomer with 116 members. And they also had the largest NDO event, the largest National Drive Electric Week event in the country. And they do a big event for Auto Show over 4 days, 30 volunteers. Another really cool thing they did, who knows Ben Sullins of Teslanomics? Very, kind of a celebrity YouTuber, has over 100,000 subscribers, and a very popular data guy, talks all about, Teslas. And we got him down in San Diego to be a speaker to a sold out crowd. They were people standing room only. So that was an exciting thing that they've done. Denver, we have David McNeil, who's run this very, very popular newsletter for many years, and even this year increased his subscribership by 25%. There you see the summer barbecue and display. So what's going on at National? When I was a San Diego chapter president, National was like this board of directors sitting in a back room, wasn't quite sure what they did. Now working on the board, I have come to appreciate the board of directors and the amazing volunteer time and effort and talent that they give. And this year we have been especially busy, and we want to tell you about it and give you some reports. The big thing we did was try to get a lot of focus with our committees. So we have John Hyam, who's sitting in the front here, Legislative Policy Chair. We have Chapter Development and Support, Charles Garina, Guy Hall, who've worked a lot on that. We have Natalie Bellinger, Membership, Kelly Berry, Finance, Charging, Funding and Assistant, Jack Brown, Ron Freund doing current events every single month of the year, fabulous, and Marina doing donations. So now we're gonna bring up Kelly Berry, who's our new treasurer, and she's going to give you our report on how are the finances doing at the Electric Auto Association. Here's Kelly.
Thanks, Regine. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Kelly Berry, and I'm the treasurer for Electric Auto Association. I'm here from Minneapolis, and it's very cold there, and we're going to get snow. So thank you for having this meeting here. It gave me a chance to get out of Minneapolis. We'll start with a couple of quick slides just talking about sort of nuts and bolts, income and expenses. Not surprisingly, from an income perspective in 2018, our membership is the greatest driver of the income that we receive, but we have seen individual donations increase in 2018, so that's a great sign. We'd like to see that continue. And for fixed expenses, not surprisingly, current events is absolutely wonderful. It's filled with information. There's a lot of great articles in it, but it does cost quite a bit to produce between design and the printing and mailing. That's a good chunk of our fixed expenses every year. However, we are pleased to say that there was a 40% increase in individual donations in 2018, going from $2,000 to $10,000, and our membership dues were very good. And we also had Clipper Creek, who was a great ad supporter for us with $3,000. And as a nonprofit, obviously, just by the name, you can sort of tell the real goal is to break even where we can, and we've done that in 2018. One of the things we'd love to do is thank all the people who contributed with donations. Scott Krantz, Charles DeVries, and Paul Milkey all had donations between $1,000 and $2,000 to the association. And Jack Brown participates in a great program with Google where they match volunteer hours that Jack provides with a monetary donation to the association. That's wonderful. We have members who gave with employer matching funds, and that's something I'm going to do this year with my employer. We had people who used the Amazon Smiles program. There's a special URL you can use on Amazon, and it will help contribute money to the association. And we'd like to thank Will Beckett for a Facebook birthday fundraiser. They're quick and easy to do, and they're a lot of fun. We had a lot of members who stepped up their annual dues this year with $240 and $500 levels. That's wonderful. Anybody who can contribute at that level is very much appreciated. And even at the $60 and $120 levels, that's a great contribution to the association. And also, these dues are really what power this association, so they're extremely important for us. However, in 2019, we anticipate additional expenses. And because we need to fund all of our new programs, we need to fund them ourselves. Extra expenses mean we need additional money coming in on the other side to help pay for them. One of the things that we'd love to do is have you all involved, either from contributing money, or if you're interested in coming to work on our board committee of donations, there's contact information on the website. So thank you very much, and we'll turn this over to John Hyam. Actually, I'll turn it back to Regine. I'll turn it over to somebody.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. So next up is John to talk about legislative policy. Lots been going on this year. Thanks, John.
Surprise, I just learned I was going to do a presentation. My aspect, what I've been doing to participate on the board of directors is to help advocate for legislative and policies that will accelerate the adoption of EVs. We have done 4 letters of support and also 1 letter of opposition for laws that were proposed by the state of California and also at the federal level. We've had 11 legislative alerts that have been emailed out to the entire membership of Electric Auto Association to ask for you to please write to your senator with the specifics of saying, or senator or your congressman, and saying, with the specifics of saying, this is what we would like you to please do for us and for the Electric Auto Association. Letters from voters to your representative is the best way to move the needle on policy. I have, in my professional career, I've done a little bit of lobbying at the federal level for my company. And as I talk to congressmen and also to senators, they say how important it is to hear from the constituency to know how their voters feel about certain things. So that's why we have turned up the volume a little bit. So you will continue to see emails from me about please help us support or oppose this particular legislation that's going on. We've had 2 asks of town councils, and that is where we have our members go directly to the town councils in the towns that they live to help advocate for policy that will help us with charging and infrastructure. And you will see in 2019, you will see hopefully that go up from 2 to maybe as high as 100 or 200, because this is something we want to focus on 2019 is down at the city level. We've also had committee meetings with the legislative and policy aspect, and we will also see that accelerate in 2019 as well. So that is what your legislative board member has been up to for 2018, and we will hopefully see that accelerate in 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. And here's just a list of some of the things that happened also in this notable, Laura, right there is Guy Hall did some testimony to the California Building Commission on increasing the number of charge-ready spots in apartments, hotels, motels, and we got that through, so that was a big win. So we've had a couple of good wins. Things go our way. Lots more to work on for next year. National Drive Electric Week. How many of you were out there this year and do? Great. We did, this just broke all the records. 50 states, 3 countries, 321 events, 9,000 ride and drives. And of course, we just love getting the people behind our cars, because once they do, we know they're going to be hooked like us. And so great kudos to all involved, to all of our members, to the 3 hosting organizations, Electric Auto, Plug-in America, and Sierra Club. So we'll on to the next. Next up is Natalie. If we could tear her away from counting ballots, I will call her to the front. Our new membership chair, Natalie Bellinger, joined the board this year. She's also part of our geographic diversity, coming from Montreal, Canada. Here's Natalie.
Thanks, Regine. Good morning, everyone. Where to start? So it's a lot warmer here and a lot nicer than in Montreal. We've been having a lot of interesting weather back home as well. It kind of made me reflect a lot. And I think all of us here recognize the issue of climate change. It's a global problem, and the solution needs to be a global one. And so that's why it's super important that we continue on our efforts to educate consumers. In Ontario, we have a new government that was elected in this past year, and in September, they actually ended the EV and hydrogen incentive program. Ontario represents almost a third of the population of Canada, so it's not great news for us. There's only 2 provinces that are still offering incentives, which is British Columbia and Quebec, where I'm from. So this past year, our membership actually grew. Right, a little bit of about the federal and state policies. I think you're facing some similar challenges here in the U.S., where there's always pressure from the government to cut costs and lack of investments in charging, especially as we discussed in the different types of structures, as opposed to multi-home dwellings and so on, has always been a bit of a challenge. We really need everybody to be on board with the AA. Our membership grew about 5% last year. We had lots more at premium levels. As Kelly mentioned, a lot of our budget comes from membership. And so it's very, very important that we continue to encourage more and more members to join the EAA. And really need your help to do that, to help inform people of the work that we do and educate them. And it counts, the number of people that we have on in our membership base obviously provides more weight with legislative efforts and so on, but also, something as simple as advertising. If we have more people that are reading our publications, it means that we're more able to sell more advertising dollars, which also raises funds for these great programs. So in 2019, we're going to continue to have a big focus on membership growth. That's one of the reasons why I joined the EAA board, is to really help grow memberships. As Regine mentioned, we have our parking lot pitch. So why should someone join the EAA? We have some great benefits that I invite you to review and be familiar with. You can share that with all of the folks that you speak with who are electric vehicle drivers or enthusiasts. We really need your help to help continue grow this great association. So when you meet other EV owners, invite them to join a local meeting, a local chapter meeting. Invite them to visit our website. Look into the 3-month free membership is also a great way for them to be familiar with some of the work that we do, get informed, and receive the current events for a few months. And just continue to promote, the great work that we're doing and get involved as much as possible. I think the volunteer work that you all do is wonderful. Just keep on doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And a note about, that we get to share with like-minded enthusiasts locally, nationally, and internationally. And you might not always think of how are we really sharing internationally, but there was something that happened this year that created some international buzz. And what it was we got contacted by a group of Korean in the government who were sending over a delegation, and they wanted to learn about what we were doing, incentives and policies to advance electric vehicles, because they want to too, and they wanted to teach this largely young group of government people to how to do that. So they asked us if we would share, and we did. So it was a combination from Dale Miller of our Golden Gate chapter, Ben and Kent from our Silicon Valley chapter, and others who got together in a hotel meeting space here in San Francisco with this wonderful group of young Koreans, some of whom, could speak varying degrees of English, but you know what? They got it. And we shared with them, and of course, Ron Friend was involved very much in this as well. Thank you, Ron. And it was a really interesting experience. And had we not, been Electric Auto, known as being, international, that wouldn't have happened for us. And that was really rewarding. And we hope that they learned a lot. And certainly those kinds of international exchanges, you know, are just rich experiences. So in terms of development, in terms of organization, we've done quite a lot. We added legal and accounting expertise. As you can see, you heard Simon, he's got a law background, and we have Kelly now. Thank you for bringing us that sound financial accounting experience. We also migrated our books from what was a QuickBooks sitting on one person's desktop at home to a bookkeeping service and accounting service. So we now have this QuickBooks Online with this firm called Jitasa, and no matter what volunteers come and go with our organization, we know that our books are nicely handled consistently, professionally at that level. So that was a big win. Our gender equity improved. Jerry Brown would be so proud of us. You know, he was the one that said California public corporations have got to be 50% women and on their board of directors. Did you know that he declared that? Now, that didn't impact us. We're a nonprofit. However, it did make us soul search a bit, and we said, hey, when we're looking out there for directors, we want to make sure that we do as much outreach, not only for women, but to be diverse and to look like the society that we serve. And we did that, and we moved our directorship from 1 out of 11 female to 4 out of 11. So we're 36% as we stand now on our way to 50%. So oh, my pictures went away. I'm so sorry. I had some nice pictures for you, but there were the San Juan Islands, and you'll see that later. We have them in a video. And the Mammoth Lakes, California, developed new chapters this year. And that was interesting because I think this may be one of our first island chapters. But of course, we know evenings work really well on islands. You don't have big distances to go, and you know, people tend to be very environmental as they're out there in nature. And the San Juan Islands and Eastern Sierra were interesting chapters to open. We have a new thing coming out. We have in the back Chris Allen from Electric Car Insider, Buyer's Guide and Guest Drives. And you see I hope everyone got a free copy of the buying guide on the welcome table over there. A new one is coming out in February, we understand, and we have a full page ad. And that ad has this QR code for people to scan and to find a chapter. So we hope that, you know, EV curious and EV buyers all over the country who will be reading this buying guide will be looking at the ad for electric auto, and will either using the QR code or they'll just use our website and they will find a chapter near them. So this will have the impact of increasing members in chapters. Current events. You know, Ron Freund does just such a fabulous job of, you know, 12 months of this thing. Just pretty much everything you want to know globally and locally. Just when I'm thinking, you know, of some new thing I want to hear about, like the Kona coming out, you know, he puts it in current events. So he is on it. And there's something for everyone in these 44 pages. We're very proud of that. We saved $12,000. It was bittersweet for us letting go of the paper print, I know. But we can't be printing that much paper for sustainability reasons, and we needed to save the $12,000. So that's what happened with current events. Thriving annual elections. We had 9 nominees for 3 spots, as you know. And what a great thing that Jack Brown gave us in this Google space that is provided for free to nonprofits to do exactly what we're doing here, have our annual meeting. And let's give Jack a big round of applause. And we expanded our national award program, and that's going to be really exciting, happening in a little bit. We have MVP, we have Entrepreneur of the Year, we have Ambassador Road Tripper, all kinds of really, you know, wonderful awards to celebrate the achievements of our members. Charging stations, we had a project in Lee Vining, California. So how many of you go to Yosemite? and take that Route 120. If you ever take the 120 out to the 395 on the eastern side of the Sierra, well, there's this little town at the junction called Lee Vining, has a beautiful solar pavilion built entirely by volunteers, and they wanted one charging station there. I didn't know how to go about getting it. And between Jack and Ron and myself and Kitty Adams, we brought a charging station, or about to bring a charging station there, having jumped through a bunch of local hoops, in the towns to get approval for that. But that was a way in which we supported a group of 3 very passionate local people who needed the technical expertise of what kind of charger, how will it work, should we charge the people, or should it be free to the public, all those questions. Anyway, it was a great thing that we did. We did some public speaking. We were at National Drive Electric Week in San Diego. We were on the morning television in San Diego. We were on cable news. We were on NPR Wyoming. In terms of chapters, we created a new position on the board. It's not a voting position, but it's an adjunct, as it were. It's called Chapter Liaison. And the reason we created that was we wanted to make sure our board was never disconnected from the chapters, that the work really happens, the service really happens in the chapters and out there in our geographic locations everywhere. And we wanted to be sure that voice was always heard. So we created something called Chapter Voices, and Charles Garina fortunately stepped up. He's fabulous at this, and he creates a quarterly newsletter that goes out to chapter leaders to help them. We also did something very important, which was headed up by Jack Brown, which was a survey of chapter leaders. What do they need? What are their challenges? What are we doing right in our National Association, and what needs to be fixed, and what are their ideas? And that was a terrific survey, and it guides us as we go forward in how we can best serve our chapters. We refreshed our website. It now has a members only section. It has EV 101, which has got, all the reasons why, drive electric, etc. It's got some favorite videos. If you haven't been on that part, that's fun. But it's got these interest areas that you can now sign up for. And if you look at this, you go into your member profile, and then under website, you can see a thing called interests. You can now sign up for interests, and we can build more as you request them. But legislative policy, newsletters, if you're putting out a newsletter in your chapter and you want to talk to other chapters that are doing that about good ideas they have, or you want to see their newsletter, you would sign on to that interest group. And a new one called school-based events. There is a lot of traction getting going with that, with one of our great members, Bob Erdman, out in the greater Washington, D.C. area. And he's created an entire website for this called evadc.org. And one of the things that I think, we've been doing school-based events for a while, but what I like is that he's put together the information so we can all share it. And the other really interesting thing he's done, and he's been able to achieve this, is he gets the students to run the event. And I think that's fabulous. So what's new for 2019? So now it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Guy Hall, who's going to come up and talk about Drive Electric Earth Day. Guy?
Thank you, Regine. So how many people here have already heard about Drive Electric Earth Day? I'd say about half. I'll start with that. So this year, the Plug-in America, Sierra Club, and the Electric Auto Association said, NDO is not enough. Let's do something to balance out the other part of the year. And the initial thought was, let's replicate what we do on NDO during Earth. I call it not Earth Day, I call it Earth Month nowadays. It's the whole month seems to be full of Earth Day events. But they said, let's take that and replicate that. And we thought, well, that's a good start, but there's some extra value that Earth Day brings that we didn't have in September. And let's see if I can. So it's not just another Indu. It's more than that. Deed teams, Drive Electric Earth Day, can create their own events like they've done in September as part of Indu, or we encourage you to really to partner with some Earth Day event that's already going on. Many of you have recognized in the past that it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to bring cars to a large event with a lot of people instead of bringing people to your electric car event. So this is taking advantage of Earth Day events that are going out there that already have an attendance and an audience of sustainability interested folks. So it's a good demographic to start with, but we can partner up with them. Now there's some extra value in partnering with Earth Day event organizations. That key is they're not only bringing the audience and they're providing the venue, they're doing the organization, they're paying a lot of the costs. So a lot of the workload that we're used to in doing in-day events is picked up by another organization. So it's terrific. And so on top of that, we have the ability to actually have some fun. So if we're recruiting members to participate in these events, you can encourage them to come to the event because they can also have their family at the rest of the Earth Day event. So we'll be showing cars, sharing our electric drive experience, and advocating for EV adoption, but we use these partners. And because you don't have as much invested and much effort putting into an event, you can do several of them through the month. This is last year, the Sacramento chapter of the EAA did 11 events in the month. All right, each one of these had at least static displays and members there showing their cars. Some of them had ride and drives. The key is when you do something like this, where you look at several locations and events, is to scale your investment appropriate to the event. That allows you, for example, as Sacramento Electric Vehicles did, if you see on let's see, that was a Saturday, 3 events the same day. All right, 3 electric vehicle related events the same day. And we hit, I think we got, we hit schools, we hit medical organizations like hospitals, government organizations, cities, counties. It seems that everybody in the world is putting on Earth Day events. So take advantage of that. One of the more important outcomes of partnering with these organizations is the relationship that you're building, not just for that event, but that's something you may continue through the rest of the year. You may tie into their events, other events they put on. Might be the city is looking at establishing an EV policy for parking. Might be a business is looking at doing workplace charging. Each of those, once you have that relationship established, each of those can call on you and you can interact with them and provide the grassroots-based experience that we can bring to these organizations. Now, it may not happen immediately. I did find, as one example, we have VSP is a big insurance company for glasses. Did a great event there. We then kind of thought over the next month or two that where are all the people that we did test drives and showed these cars? How come they're not coming to us? And we thought, well, that was a bust. Three months later, nothing. 6 months later, the facilities manager's in a panic because she's under pressure to put workplace charging. She's talking to 4 different vendors. She has no idea how to compare these. So give it patience, but build those relationships. And lastly, I think, how do I make this move forward? There we go. So here are examples of those types of organizations. Build those partnerships and start right away. Reach out to some potential partners now as they're putting on their events. Sign up at driveelectricearthday.org. Get on the event that you're going to partner with on the map and download up. We've got a webinar coming up. Attend that. We'll send information out to all members about the webinar. And Plug-in America together with us are putting on another marketing related one a little bit later in the month. So I've chewed up more than my time. Thank you, Regine, for being gracious
Great.
on this. I was kind of expecting to hook them out.
Thank you. I know. Thank you. Wonderful. It's fabulous. We always have time for you. So EV educate. These words came up as our chapter development and support committee started trying to figure out what its charter would be, what would it do, what do we need, and we decided that this would be a program to help chapters and chapter leaders grow with ease. And our three signature kind of words are empower, educate, and equip. Empower the chapter leaders and educate our EV owner educators, and equip, give everybody the tools they need to do this work. And this really is very central to what Electric Auto is all about. As Guy talked about in Empower, we've got our webinars. You'll start to see announcements for some regional conference calls amongst chapter leaders to share some of their best practices. You see that Ask Me About My EV pin, that's going to come out to all chapters soon. And that's a great pin to sport at events. It welcomes people to ask you questions. It tells them that you're an EV owner. You're not a dealer or a salesperson. You're an EV owner willing to share your experiences. And that was sponsored by Ben Sullins of Teslanomics. The cost of that. We also have, we're very proud of this, the new event coordinator handbook. So when I was starting in the chapter, I thought that there would only ever be one person who would be in charge of events, one person per chapter. Not so. There can be multiple people who can do event coordination, and not all events are as big as an auto show or as big as an Endu. We have times we simply turn up with our two flags, flanking a bunch of EVs and just talk to people when it's an event that's been set up for foot traffic. So a junior event coordinator can come into the ranks doing that. And of course, in running a volunteer organization, we don't want to burn people out. Running events does take time, and we don't really necessarily have to have one person doing that all the time. So we thought, let's have a training manual, a little quick cheat sheet here on what are the ways to handle events. And so we're very happy to announce this, along with a webinar that's coming up, and we'll tell you about that in a minute. The other thing to give chapters tools is an orientation handbook. So how this works is, again, when I've attended chapter meetings sometimes, I see new people come in who are eager and they're enthusiastic, whether they own an EV or not, but they seem to want to get involved sometimes. And, making that connection, helping people understand how they can get involved is what this book is all about. So we can talk more in detail about it, but what we're looking to help chapters with is to have this as something at chapter meetings, and chapters can announce, hey, if you're new to Electric Auto, come on and stay afterwards. We'd like to talk to you. And in this book is about all the different roles that people can play. And so they can see where and if, they want to fit in. And then they have a go-to after that, a connection, so we don't lose them. I worry about people who just turn up at a meeting once and then never come back, because maybe we didn't have a tool like this to kind of extend the welcome and show them exactly how they can fit in to our organization and make a difference and get the joys that we all receive out of that. So new orientation handbook, customized page for the chapter. So this is an EAA document telling all about Electric Auto and how our chapters work. But the chapter can put all their own information on the back, their meeting times, their contacts, etc. Then the next thing that's on the plate, and this is a biggie, is EV certification for EV owner educators. So our people who get out there with their cars talking to the public can operate at the level of, I'm just going to talk about my own experience driving electric and hand you some information on tax incentives, etc. And that's fine. But there are some people that want to take it to a little bit more advanced level. And for those people, we're going to have this program with webinars, videos, quizzes, and then we'll certify you. And you will be available, you will be eligible for compensation where available. And this actually has happened this year. We were able to get EV owners compensated for work at an event. So watch for this in the future. This could be a very big trend. We've got utilities wanting to jump into more public awareness for events, and they have money dedicated to this. And our people work very hard. You all know what it's like to work an event for a whole day. And this can be excellent in terms of making sure our volunteers don't burn out. Somehow, when you get $250 for working a day at an event, it makes it something you want to do again. So watch for that coming up. Speakers Bureau. Guy has been instrumental in developing, and we're almost coming to the end of this section now, but instrumental in developing, this is important, a core of materials that are PowerPoints that we can all share. So we're going out, we're asked to go and do a library presentation, or we're going to a school, or wherever we're going out, a Rotary Club, Lions Club, we can look at this vast resource, and it's going to grow with time, of PowerPoint presentations. And then we can use those, we can modify them for how our event is going, and it just makes it easy. So again, that's what the CV Educate program is all about, making the stuff that we want to do with people a lot easier to do, and therefore we'll do more of it, right? And when we talked about those school-based events, Bob Erdman out in Washington, D.C. said it was so popular, they had 4 schools all want to be on one day. So when you have 4 schools that all events on one day, what do you need? More EV coordinators, more event coordinators, right? So you have more people in the chapter saying, right, I got this one, you got that one. And now we're doing it all because we can do multiple, events on one day. So here it is, and we have copies of it here, and these are the kinds of things that we cover in it. How to work with event organizers and dealers, 5 tools that we use for outreach and charging, best practice consumer engagement, photos, everything about events. And the orientation book has your reimbursement information, it has insurance, it has all your membership benefits, and again, the organization structure. And then that's an example of the back cover of it that I talked about. So as for wrapping this up and what we've talked about this morning, we have 1 million electric vehicles on the road in the country, and it's time to really, for Electric Auto Association, to reach out and pull those people into our chapters. We know that when people buy electric cars, they are enthusiastic. It's something that gets a fan base going, right? And we want to just give those people a place to come to. So spread the word, because often people don't join because A, we didn't ask, and B, we didn't tell them what we were about. So we need to tell them who we are, why we do what we do, and why it matters. We want to grow our membership and subscriber lists and our numbers of outreach people, grow our leaders. We want to count better, because we all know data is king. We want to count better. When we do that, we're going to be able to get more corporate sponsorships and ask for financial support. We want to connect more geographically, and we want to use our collective brain, because in that, that's our real power. So let's turn our national subscriber list of 6,000 into 20 or 30,000. Thank you. And you know what? Those chapters, we've got San Diego leading the pack at over 100 members. Let's have a race to 100. Let's have chapters all racing to get 100 EAA members. And with that, we know we're very confident in the success of our efforts, because we know with more of us out there, we're gonna have more people driving electric, and that is our mission. Thank you.
Reggie, quick question.
Yeah,
Will your PowerPoint be
yes, we have to ask Jack, my technical, but yes, it will.
and can we cut and paste? Oh, can we cut and paste and use it in events that we have and
Of course, yeah, we'll put it up on those PowerPoints are available on Google Drive. Yeah, so the other thing I failed to do was to close us up with thanking. You know, the board has to express, it's a great time for us to express our deep gratitude for the talent and dedication of all of our members who make a real difference around the globe. Because we know, again, not only, you know, we know what EV driving does, right? It combats climate change and it cleans up our air and it makes a better future for future generations. So with that, I will say that it's time for a break before we come back for our 2018 awards. So let's take 15 minutes. Please help yourself to beverages in the Google kitchen, and we'll come back around 11:15. Thank you.
so it will be in documents?
Yes.
Right.
Well, everything, there's next year we'll, I'm still.
Don't give any time to your life.
Okay, so if there's a call, I am not on the call, but I am aware of it.
You were reading how long, but anyone to read you. Everybody wants to know. A lot of, yeah, I'll be honest. I knew this was like secretly obvious.
Sorry.
I wanted to say
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of this. I would like to. Here this morning. When I got here, I realized I wasn't. Right. Right. So can I just text you?
The AV this year. I'm new to the club. I watched the YouTube from last year's meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And this was much smoother.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were just like, we threw it together really quick last time. This time, trying to make up for some of the things
Sort of where are you from?
from Santa Cruz.
San Francisco.
Yeah, yeah. This area. Yeah, we do some work with them on the Central Coast.
I took my lead from San Francisco down to Long Beach.
To where?
Long Beach, you guys.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty good. Kind of I did it mainly for the adventure. Got to visit a few taco reviews.
Oh, nice.
It had charter.
I follow all of
The new one. But still, when you go freeways, road speed, you're probably 110. So, but and there's enough fast charges.
Yeah.
I think twice I had to, once each way, I had to go to but there's good to eat places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long in 2012, I drove BMW Active E. But it was all level 2 charging. So 17 hours of charging, 7 hours of driving. Yeah. It's like a week before the first supercharger opened.
is on the leading edge of the adoption. How much more to offer the so that's been my plans. We're going to get to 2040 100% adoption. Oh, I definitely want to get plugged in into that. So one of the things that I implied is that we started talking to city councils, and this has been on the topic of anti-discrimination, because I think that city council is supposed to be established. So what I've done in 2018 is I put together a database of 100 cities in California that have the highest number of EV chargers. And I think that those are the city councils that are just finding the blind individuals in each of those cities that are willing to talk to their city council. Like my city, my elected official are 100% on board with the idea of anti-racism. Exactly. So, but I exactly. So I think we need to focus on both at the city level, but also at the state level. So, and electrify America, you know, less than 20 little heads. You know, I'm glad that they're doing this, but I'm just gonna say, I don't think they're gonna take it.
I would not. They don't know. They don't really know how to build it.
Right, you know, and they're trying, and I'm going to see at Electrify America, and you know, they're trying their best, but you know, they're in a rush to spend this money because CARB has demanded it, and they're putting stuff in the wrong place. Well, as far as municipalities go, I think the municipalities are being bullied. Because Electrify America are going to organizations like Walmart, which is making out the umbrella in any city. Okay? And you're going, okay, Walmart, really let us put in these chargers. Right. Exactly. But you know what? If that's the whole Walmart is in charge, if I want to drive, my mom lives in City, and I live in downtown. And there's a couple of Electrify America locations that are going up in Nevada that will remain electric. Right, along 80. But, and they're bringing it to Walmart. They're coming out to Walmart.
They don't have Walmart in San Francisco. They don't exist. They don't have any.
They end up going, why does it why the front of the Walmart is the easiest thing for them to do? And that's what well, it's better than nothing, right? And this has been my frustration, is that with chargers go in, this is like Walmart, or a shopping mall. Electrify America has a bunch of stuff that one of the big shopping malls just east of right, so they're in the shopping mall. They're inevitably the best parking spots, and that's because it's closest to the It is a bad.
Because other people get pissed off and park in them.
Okay, I want to hear what your perspective is. No, that's good. The problem is, though, if you're right, but right now, okay, the people who are early adopters, so I want to go charge. They go there, and I see $1 million. There's 10 Electrify America DC fast chargers. I'm because there's an Electrify America talk at the mall that's 2 miles from here. There's $1 million of infrastructure. 10 DC fast chargers. I promise you go there, all iced. So you go there to charge, you can't.
Oh, no, that's
the
what
problem.
I tell you.
That's the problem. The cops, first of all, California law, CDC 22511 states that tow trucks, people who own property. And that's not me. I can't call it tow trucks. The people that can call this tow truck is the owner or the manager of the mall. Okay, so I call them and say, tow these people, and they say, those are my customers. I'm not yes, it has happened to me many times. Many times. These are my customers. I'm not towing them. Well, okay, this is how we got to move. I sent them out to everyone who's been elected by in elected county association. It's possible that's going to expand. Well, not me. I have access to it.
I just wanted to say what Chris Johnson did before I
So last fall when legislative session was in full bore, when there was lots of things going on, I probably sat 2 or 3 a lot. But I haven't sent one out. I haven't sent one out since November. Right. It's very, very possible.
Jail comes in first Saturday of the month, so the second. Oh, yeah, right. But now you're done.
The Electric Auto Association's email or website is not.
Anyway,
Here we go. NCAP is a protected class from the federal level. So the police do. The problem is that laws. You can call. No. So if you're handicapped and you go to someone who's marked in that,
yeah, she's on the
phone. It's you get and they can tell because it's federal funds. Just like certification is a protected class. But because it's private, it's
right after
I think the handicap driver can the police department check out.
Yeah, and like I said, when I saw
Oh, okay.
I see there, but I want to make sure you just get up like. You're always running to replace
My understanding is because I understand, but see, at the federal level, I don't know this. So I have looked at this. Simon, who is here, who is also a and he and I have gone back to I have advocated changing the law. CDC 251 that says that anybody can call it and his pushback has always been tow truck, they have liability if they find, that the owner of the car can say, my car was wrong to
I would really like to get into this. I really like to think of it.
Great job. So many years now. You're
Do you have the glacier roots in your stone? Have you ever seen this? We go up to this. We go up to I know a little bit about it. I worked on it actually. I do. Sorry.
So, but it was great because I had to stop over in Vegas. And I used the destination charger, and I gave them my car, they charged it. And then the next day I just drove off to the same church without having to charge anybody. Well, no, well, but see, what I guess I'm getting at is I would have previously charge for free. Well, but I bought this, so I have
Apparently now I'm looking
He's the expert. So I had fun on my want to. But it was definitely otherwise. If I drove a gas car, I would
Yes.
If you can wrap up your conversations, we're going to be having awards in just about a minute.
Brenda, you have to grab one of those oranges. They're backyard grown. They're very nasty. It is literally, well, you just sign up here. You've never had a backyard. No, I just but I will look that up.
She did it on her own?
We live? Hope not. Are you needed these?
I know.
Getting over a cold.
Okay, let me
Wonder where we can get these that we get nice light on. Picture. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things. I shoot weddings, so
Oh, yeah, we don't. Well, it's time, so we're
it's
gonna
time.
have
Let's
to.
do it.
Okay, so we're start.
First.
First one is, we're gonna show the video, gasoline, and we'll call up, so you're gonna get, let me show you which one it is. It's this one, right? Okay, so you're gonna get that, we'll call it Janella. Okay, we're gonna start, the Oscars of the EAA. Are we back streaming again, Jack? It's my great pleasure to start this section of our meeting because it, you know, all of our members do so much, and yet some really are standouts, you know, in terms of their dedication. And we like to recognize that. And one of them this year, very spectacularly so, is a music video by the name of Gasoline, Gasoline, the World's Aflame. And on the back, do you have that on the back of your agenda? We printed the words. And someone said, should we sing along? And I said, oh, you don't have to sing along. Or you can. Janelle London says, you can sing along. So we're gonna start by playing the video. Uh-oh, Jack. Hold on. Oh, so you can't go full screen. Sorry, guys. Let's start at the beginning. Let's go back. Apologize for the technical, sort of above my pay grade here. This is our
Sorry.
Try again. Do over. Oh, here we go. That looks like it. Okay, enjoy.
You took me for a ride and I was lost. I'm joking on your pollution train. You're making me call, you're turning me on. I'm breaking this relationship. Gasoline, gasoline, you're driving me insane. Gasoline, gasoline, the world's aflame. Gasoline, gasoline, I'm just someone new, someone better than you. We had a good run, but now we're done. You're poisoning your atmosphere. You don't even care, talking dirty in my air, leading us on, the end is near. You fossil fool, I reject your rule. We gotta leave you in the ground. I'm out of the door, with my foot to the floor. We gotta leave you in the ground. Gasoline, gasoline, you're driving me insane. Gasoline, gasoline, the world's aflame. Gasoline, gasoline, I found someone new, someone better than you. Sea levels are rising, polar bears are dying, our children are crying. Around the world, countries are racing to take those gasoline cars. Gotta go quick, electric, change the way we move around. Gotta go quick, electric, change the way we move around. I got a new love, an electric flame. With 3-city charging and DFP parking. Zooming past you in the HOV lane. I'm painted and green and my love is sparking. Gasoline, gasoline, I got a new dream. Gasoline, gasoline, I'm going green. Gasoline, gasoline, I found someone new. And I'm leaving you.
And the award goes to Matthew Metz and Janelle London of Cultura. Please come on up, Janelle.
I got it.
Get us back.
Yep.
I'm creating my website.
That's great.
Time out for a photo op and for Janelle. Janelle, thank you so much. What a
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
A couple of
Thank you all. This is gorgeous. I'm so excited. This is a wonderful award. I wanted to thank the Academy. Thank you, EAA, for this award and great honor. The idea of breaking up with gasoline came from Matthew Metz, Cultura's founder, in his work on anti-gasoline improv theater. Inspired by Kultura's work, artists and activists Frankie James and Billiam James created this song to capture the pivotal moment when people realized, as you all have, that gasoline is like a bad relationship and electric vehicles are pretty easy to fall in love with. I wanted to thank Frankie and Billiam and the talented musical performers who made this song, Missy D, Francis Arevalo, Sajal Lal, and Lindahl. And thanks to the Electric Auto Association for disseminating the song and supporting the important work of accelerating the switch from gasoline cars to electric vehicles and other clean alternatives. We have to move forward together. We don't have a moment to wait. And I just wanted to inspire you guys by saying that you all love, and we all share a love for electric cars. And what do we love about them? You know, really, it's that power. It's the electric power. It's great power. We have great power. And that reminds me of a famous person who really preceded EAA and got it all started, Ben Parker. I don't know if you guys know who Ben Parker is, but he once told his nephew, Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. And just, that is absolutely true. And I know you all have great power. We all have it. And now we have a great responsibility to disseminate it to everyone and accelerate the transition to clean electric vehicles. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Janelle. Thank you so much. We're on to our next award. Pick which? Where am I missing? Where's my mouse? Oh, there. Mouse control. What we want the slideshow.
It's thinking about it. And hit down there.
There you go. Okay. Okay, so the next award comes to the chapter that grew the fastest. So this is the San Juan Islands Electric Vehicle Association, Bruce Nyden and Ryan Palmatier. They grew to 22 members in just 6 months. They recruited a core of 5, began having meetings, and then they had a free drawing for a $35 EAA membership at each meeting. And they added 1 new member every meeting. So their locals are pretty environmentally friendly up there in the San Juan Islands. And they have by the way, if you don't know the San Juans, it's a fabulous place to visit. The only resident population of orca whales. Beautiful. Spectacular scenery. Oprah's building a home there. You go up there and see Ryan Palmatier and Bruce Nyden. They need low-cost cars a lot because of there are so many people in the hospitality industry, and the distances on the islands are short, so range is not a problem. They have been successful. They have a local car dealer there who's been buying up used California cars and shipping them up to Washington and then selling them to locals at very good prices. So we're gonna hear yeah, we have another little thing where we're looking for the video. Here it is. Control.
I got the presentation and then just hit the control button when you flip it. So keep it here.
Oh, in the presentation mode.
Yeah. This, but should be control.
Control Enter.
Control click.
Oh. So you're going to hear Ryan Palmatier, the
My name is
president.
Ryan Palmatier. I'm the president of the San Juan Islands Electric Vehicle Association. One of the things that makes our chapter so unique is our partnerships. We form partnerships with the San Juan Islands Conservation District as well as our member-owned power utility of Palmco. One really useful tool that we've developed is the brochure titled EV Basics. In EV Basics, we answer all the pertinent questions regarding incentivization, frequently asked questions, as well as a map of all of our charging infrastructure here in San Juan County. Another really cool thing about driving electric in the San Juan Islands is we have about 4 times as many electric charging ports as we do gas pumps. On behalf of all of us here at San Juan Islands Electric Vehicle Association, like to thank the Electric Auto Association for their guidance, this awesome award, and just the great work. Thank you very much.
So the Road Runner Award, and they got a plaque with the original Disney decal of for how fast they were able to bring in their membership, which really is quite astounding, 22 members in 6 months. So now we're moving on to our next award, thanks to Jack, which is Command Enter, he says. No, we need to advance. We just did that one, so we go forward. The next one is the best educational video. And again, we're going to hear an acceptance speech through video from Matt Farrell, who we found on as a YouTuber. And Matt's claim to fame, why we selected this, is that, leave it here for a sec, there are 5 myths that he did an excellent job of getting the data around them to dispel and really get the truth out. And we hear it: too long to charge. What happens when my power goes out at home? You know, there's no gas station for me to go to. EVs, are they really as clean as they say? Not enough range, can't make long trips. EVs too expensive. EVs are a fire hazard. So with well-researched data, Matt combats these myths. And most importantly, he's a good, clear communicator. We found that outstanding, and we found that that deserved an award. And we hope that a lot of people listen to his reasoning. So listen to his acceptance speech. This is Matt Farrell.
Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'm very honored to be awarded the Electric Auto Association's Best Educational Video. I've always had a curiosity into how things work and how to make them better, which led me into a career in technology and user interface design. Combine that with parents who were educators and a growing concern over climate change, and I became a huge believer in the need to get off of fossil fuels, as well as trying to help communicate what can be done. That's part of why I started my YouTube channel and put my background in video and audio production, communication and information design to the test to see if I could help others out there make more informed decisions. To look past emotional arguments and get to the facts, and to challenge the knee-jerk reactions you often hear around why electric vehicles will never work. I'm sure I don't have to tell any of you how amazing EVs can be to drive and own, but there's a long road ahead to dispel the rumors and get others open to and excited by them as well. I'm trying to do my small part with that with my YouTube channel. Again, thank you for this honor, and all the best.
Matt Farrell, Framingham, Massachusetts. We need a chapter there. On to our next award, which is Elaine, come on up here. This is the Ambassador Road Tripper Award. Let's give Elaine a big round of applause. Elaine traveled 16,000 miles over 5 months in the USA and Canada, inspiring the EV curious, supporting the EV friendly towns, and motivating communities and towns and businesses to install EV charging. Elaine, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for the award. I really appreciate it. As people that know me know, I love doing road trips. So I've done San Diego to Maine and back twice, and this last year I did 16,000 miles that included everything from Kansas City to Florida Keys, upstate New York, Yellowstone Glacier, Banff, and then back home. So it's really nice to see places like Red Lodge, Montana, which, you know, who knew there was even anything there, but they, the town has seen the wisdom in installing 4 80 amp EV chargers. So they have 2 Clipper Creek and 2 Tesla chargers. So one of my sisters joined me for part of that trip. We stayed for a week, and we made it a point every time we went into a restaurant, a business, a store, whatever, we let them know that we were there because they had EV chargers there, and that if they had not installed the chargers, we would not be spending a week there, spending our time and money. So this year, hopefully on my, I always do a trip in the fall. So this year I'm looking forward to going around the country and meeting with a lot of the existing EV chapters, and hopefully starting some new ones too. So if anybody has any contacts, maybe you know someone that lives somewhere that they're interested in starting an EV chapter, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Okay, now it's my pleasure to talk about this new award called MVP. We all know that is Most Valuable Player. And here we were looking for outstanding achievement in leadership, market impact, and creativity. And we asked our members for nominations. And the nominations for the MVP Award of the East were Jesse Radowski, President, New England Electric Auto Association, Michael Sperling, of an EVA in Dutchess County, New York, and Stuart Unger. And the award goes to Stuart Unger of Evolve, Kentucky. And here is Stuart accepting the award.
I'm Stuart Unger, and I'm president of Evolve, Kentucky. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you for naming me MVP East Coast Electric Auto Association. Wanted to especially thank our Evolve KY Board of Directors and membership, and Katie Adams, who's helped us with our Dr. Charger program. We just installed our 16th charger, and this year we're expecting to double that number. We have a wonderful group. We do a lot of fun and exciting things. It really is more of a family than electric car group. And as you can see, we're driving, and there aren't many electric cars on the road, but we have seen in the past 5 years an increase, and we're working hard to make a big change here in the whole country. Thank you again. It's really a huge honor.
Let's give a big round of applause for Stuart. Isn't that wonderful? And in coal country, as we said, we told you about him earlier. Now we come around to the Midwest, and our nominations for MVP Midwest were David McNeil, Secretary of the Denver Electric Vehicle Association, and Tim Benford of Drive Electric Dayton, Ohio. And the winner is Tim Bedford of Ohio.
Ohio in my Model 3. I'm Tim Benford, the leader of Greater Dayton EV Association. I have a local group of 275 EV enthusiasts who own 125 EVs of one kind or another, or want one. The Electrification Coalition reports the Dayton chapter's efforts helped EV growth year over year rise 70%, more than any other city in Ohio or the surrounding states. I'm very honored to have been recognized as the MVP for the Midwest 2018, and will strive to expand our EAA membership in 2019 with events like the Dayton Auto Show, Earth Day, National Drive Electric Week, local parades, concourse, delegates, and more. I have found careful maintenance of an email list and making daily postings to 2 EV-related Facebook pages keeps everyone interested and engaged, including some local auto dealerships. Best wishes to all EAA chapters from the Gem City and happy electric meeting.
Thank you, Tim. Isn't he wonderful? I love how they film themselves in their EVs, don't you? That's what we do. Now, coming up to the west, our west coast here, California, and the rest of the west are, again, for outstanding achievement in leadership, market impact, and creativity. The nominees were Jerry Asher of the Tucson Electric Vehicle Association, TEVA, and Tyler Martin of the Electric Auto Association of Northern Nevada, which was kind of a revitalized chapter, and Dale Miller of Golden Gate Electric Vehicle Association. And the winner is Dale Miller. Dale. And for this award, Ron, if you want to go over to the table here, and come on up, Dale. And we decided not to do a plaque or a trophy for this one because, you know, our MVPs, you know, they just kind of wrap themselves around us in the community, and they're the gel and everything that keeps us together. And so we wanted to give them a travel blanket, something they could take in their car with an embroidered name on it. So it says MVP Dale Miller 2018. Something he'll always have in his car. Thank you, Dale, for all your hard work.
Right here, ready, steady. Thanks. Sure.
Well, I know that there are so many people that do so much to support the EAA and to promote electric cars. So it's really an honor to be given this award and singled out. So thank you very, very much.
Okay, we're coming down the home stretch with a very important award, and this is the Entrepreneur of the Year Award. This is the award that goes to the business that had the biggest market impact in the EV community. Chris Allen, come on up here. This goes to you. Electric Car Insider Guest Drive. Chris traveled the country with 12 electric vehicles, I hope I got it right, loaded on a trailer. His company ran events where the public could sign up for free test drives, including Teslas. Chris got thousands behind the wheel of EVs in dozens of cities, and uniquely, he is the only one that does not involve dealers. All of the test drives are done with EV owners and drivers, feeling no pressure from salespeople. He personally purchased the EVs and also used private EVs from EV owners' cars. Most of them were our members. So he did a huge impact all over the country. He's obviously very committed personally in every way to electric vehicle adoption. And you know his signature piece, Electric Car Insider, Buyer's Guide. It was many of ours buyable when we were buying our first EV. We owe a great debt to Chris Allen. Join me in recognizing him now.
Well, I'm humbled, and I'd like to accept this award, not just for myself, but really on behalf of my whole team. It's not a one-person effort. It's a whole team. Terry Kirsch traveled all around the United States with me, and it was hard, but it was worthwhile. But it was really a group effort. It is not a one-man thing. I'm humbled when I think that this organization was founded in 1967, before EVs were cool. EVs were definitely not cool in 1967. Have you seen some of those cars? So I'd like to thank everyone in this room and everyone watching this online who is out there promoting EVs before they're cool. Thank you.
Okay, now, coming down the home stretch, the very important award, Lifetime Achievement. You know, for a lifetime of work supporting Electric Auto, and this award goes to Will Beckett, who I call membership and everything else. And Ron is going to say a few words about Will.
This is really hard. Will has been my mentor for a long time. When I was first exploring EVs at Hewlett Packard, he was already driving his Robin's Egg, which is Robin Williams' wife's EV. As I understood it, her chauffeur was always following him around because they didn't trust the car. But Will's been doing this since about 1992. And we used to have outlets in the parking lots that William Hewlett put into existence because he would drive his electric vehicle. I'm not sure if that's been substantiated or not, but wasn't it? Okay.
Stan Skokin was the primary.
Okay. Well, anyways, Will has been with the EAA for a long time and has had a variety of vehicles, and watching him do the various things that he has at his house with photovoltaic panels on the roof. His EV is powered by sun. Just awesome help. When I ran into difficulties in the organization early on, Will's been really helpful and continues to be helpful now with our new modernization and revitalization. So endless thanks. We will still be in contact. And he has the awesome job of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and running on the beach for exercise.
I did before 5 this morning.
He did that before 5 this morning in darkness.
with a headlamp.
With a headlamp, he says. So nobody more deserving this Lifetime Achievement Award than Will Beckett for helping out the EA all these years with all his responsibilities as a membership person. As a chapter leader in the Silicon Valley, we had also all sorts of growth and activity. Doing the rallies, first at Stanford, then at Palo Alto High School, and then later on at De Anza College, all due to his ground-laying foundation. Thank you, Will.
I'd like to say it was fun. And in a sense it was. The fun part about this job really was, and it wasn't really a job, it was kind of fun, was meeting all the people. In membership, you occasionally talk to members. I don't remember my username. Can't remember my password. Can you help me? And my message back to them is click on the link below the username and password fields that says forgot my username and password. But that's the easy part now that we have a database and website that actually works. Before that, of course, we really did have to go in and change the username and password for people when we had a log on, and before that we didn't have a log on. And when I started doing the membership, there was barely a list. So it's evolved. It's gotten so much better. The organization has improved so much, just really since Regine took over. It's been terrific. So we're moving in the right direction now, and it's amazing to see the numbers of electric vehicles that have hit the roads just in the last few years. This is something we used to talk about as a board early on when we were talking about how do we get to 1,000. And Mark Geller came in and said, this is how. Promote, get the media involved. And yeah, right. And so that all worked, and here we are today. So I really appreciate this. This is a Lifetime Achievement Award. You hope you aren't dying soon, So let's hope we can all carry on and continue the effort. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, and we have one more very, very special award. And it's another lifetime achievement for Ron Freund. Come on up here, Ron. It's a surprise to him. It's a surprise to him. He's a humble guy. And it's amazing what he has done. And I'm going to ask Mark to come up and talk because he has deeper history than I have on all of the many wonderful ways that this man has contributed, not the least of which is current events, not the least of which was his immense patience helping me when I asked question after question, some of them twice, in terms of getting my feet grounded here in this organization. He is an amazing man. He's done so much for us. So Mark, come on up here.
Careful, Mark.
It's not a rose.
So we're here to thank Ron for his efforts over the past almost 20 years. We wouldn't be here today without all his work. Really, we wouldn't be here today without his work. Ron literally opened the doors of his employer at the time to both the local chapter monthly meetings and until this year, the annual meeting of the Electric Auto Association, while driving a red Ford Escort 96-volt conversion bought in 1998. Ron basically rescued the Electric Auto Association by becoming the chair in 2001. Every month for the last 15 years, Current Events has appeared because Ron became the editor and wrote an awful lot of the articles. The sheriffs of San Francisco are counted among the many, including me, who can continue to drive our 2002 and 2003 RAV4 EVs, even if they're not recognized by their creator, Toyota, because Ron repaired and kept a working inventory of TAL chargers. Ron has saved valuable EV-related stuff of all sorts, from batteries to chargers and ephemera of different kinds, when no one else would step up. Ron was among the group known as Don't Crush that protested in San Francisco against the destruction of the Ford Think City, defied the cold and rain in Sacramento to save the Ranger EVs, and worked valiantly to save the last EVs found in a parking lot, EV1s, found in a parking lot in Los Angeles. That effort became Plug-in America, of which he was a co-founder and remains a member of the board of directors. Ron has been driven to be helpful to the EV cause and to hundreds, if not perhaps thousands, of individual EV drivers and people who wanted to become EV drivers, like no one else. Ron, more than anyone I can think of, deserves recognition for his devotion to the EV movement. Here's to you, Ron. Thank you for being my EV mentor, and thank you from all the members, current and past and future, of the EAA.
Too kind.
No.
There it is. Don't forget your Oscar.
I looked at it and I said, something's wrong. Okay, thank you, Mark. I suppose I'm supposed to say something, but this is fun. I enjoy doing this, and I'm a nerd, you know. Hiding all those things, well, I'm just a pack rat, you know, how else to explain it? Anyways, I'm not done yet, I hope. As Will said, I've got many more miles to travel and lots of things to do. And we go on. It'd be nice when I can look in the rearview mirror and see the rare gas car, EVs all around me, but well, that's a while away yet. But we're going to get there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, I like that vision. Look in the rear view mirror and have a hard time, you know, finding a gas car. That would be beautiful. So now we have time for Q&A. Do we have questions? Ron's got a microphone that can come around. We actually covered so many things. We didn't stimulate you to ask a question, or are you just hungry for lunch? Any questions? How about Jack from our streaming video? None? None? Hearing no questions. Oh, please.
James Stevens from SODIVA, the Southern Oregon chapter. Yay. Question is, how can we more educate the public when we're up against the fossil fuel industry that keeps gas prices so low, and they insist that EVs are sucking up all of these, incentives? That's unfair. Do you have any ideas how? And I don't think we should make them demons, but we should kind of present. I always present EVs as cost effective. They make business sense. They're less expensive to operate than gas vehicles. Yeah, as a bonus, they're better for the environment. But all of these other things just make business sense. Do you have any other ideas?
Such a good question. The obstacles, the things that block us, that prevent us, the misinformation, the myths. You saw us give an award to the educational video for that, because there is so much bad information out there, or lack of information. Who's got an answer? Yeah, Jerry, if you got something to say, something that will help.
I'm Jerry Potts from Central Ohio. And I expect that the gas prices are not going higher, they're going to go lower as more EVs come around. And especially with China on their heavy bent toward EVs, they're importing less and less oil all the time. And so the oil per barrel price is going down. Ohio price for gas now is $1.78 a gallon.
Wow.
$1.99 in Minnesota.
Wow. Yeah, so EV adoption can't be, only conditional on gas prices, can it? There got to be a lot of other things that we work on all around the price point. We know that on the positive side that battery costs are coming down, and it is anticipated, I've read, that by 2025, the cost of batteries will be low enough to make it a level playing field for initial cost of vehicle. But Guy, you've got something to say on this. What do you think?
I just want to say, not to be too cliche or so, but are we on now?
Yeah, we are.
Not to be cliche-ish or such, but the answer I think really is in this room. And it's folks like you and folks online that are getting the word out on the ground, especially those participating in my favorite deed, Drive Electric Earth Day. So we have to get out there and provide that authentic conversation with individuals. And we have to scale it up and keep building up our membership. Bring your friends, your neighbors, get them excited about it. So,
Yeah.
someone else has got it.
Thank you, Guy. Anyone else?
I'm going to pass this over.
Good. Sue Jacobs, is it? From San Diego?
Susan Jacoby, San Diego. One thing, it's got to be more than just the economics of it that I've found, because my mother has COPD and now my husband does too, and I know people who have asthma, is sort of, instead of just saying kind of clean air, just go ahead and say, for children and other people, including our elders who might have some kind of respiratory issue, I'm doing this for them too. And by the way, any of us could develop that. So, it's kind of like save the humans.
Thank you, Sue. Exactly. And then someone else wants the mic.
For some people, it's not about the environment and it's not about essentially the money saving, but it's the driving experience. Yes. And people will spend a lot of money for a car that they're emotionally in love with. I think communicating the far superior driving experience of electric vehicles is a real option.
Very good point. And there's somebody wants to say something in the back. And think of why you bought a car. It's usually the sizzle that sells, not necessarily the facts of the matter, right? So we need to be sure that we're selling that sizzle. And that's why we you spend so much time talking about, have you driven an electric car? Have you gotten behind the wheel? Because we know when they get behind the wheel, they like the fact that they can get off the stoplight as the, way out ahead of the gas car next to them. Yes.
So also, so I work weekdays on this also a lot. And what I would also emphasize is the fuel swap and universal availability of electrons. So the domestic fuel supply is only one aspect of that, but you've got a tremendous thing going on with the clean choice aggregation in California. You've got renewable resources that are much, much cheaper than, of course, fossil fuel counterparts. You've got power plants that are going offline and being replaced by batteries because of the EV movement. Look at the peaker plants and so forth. So there's a whole bunch of other things besides just the specifics of gas being cheaper. The electrons are just better as a fuel source. So I'll be thinking about that. But also don't forget that we're going to lose the gas tax. So we have to be prepared to pay a little bit more of our share on those electrons to be able to fund the roads.
Good points. Someone else. Got the microphone.
My name is Bruce Wolf from here in San Francisco, and just to expand on some of this, here in San Francisco we have a love-hate relationship. The bicyclists and the cars, a big deal here. But I think I'm more concerned about bicyclists being out there breathing, right behind a car. And I think that's one thing that they should possibly recognize when driving behind an EV, that they won't have any concern. They shouldn't have any concerns about that, despite our continued love-hate relationship with them. Also, about 20 years ago, I was down in this neighborhood, invited by Vishla Khosla, the venture capitalist in energy, and he talked a lot about how to deal with big oil. And part of it was, you got to give them something turnkey. They got to be able to turnkey into some other industry that won't destroy them, because they don't want to lose their shareholders, their corporation, their power, and all that stuff. So I thought that was interesting, because BP then came out with building solar panels. So it was 1/3 of their business before the Deepwater Horizon incident. So I think moving out of big oil, we have to, somehow think about how those shareholders would either move from that company to another company or what have you. It takes a little bit of thought. But I do have a question. I'm concerned about, I'm right now, I'm at the end of my lease. I have a Kia Soul EV I've had since 2016, and the market for a new one. So, but the car companies are coming out with their models at whim, any time of the year. It's not like we're used to, come August, July or August, they come out with the next year models, so you can plan. So do I wait to 2020 and continue to lease month to month? Or, I'm wondering, how can we encourage the factories, the manufacturers, to do a little better planning and stop trying, one-upmanship on each other?
Good questions, and it's always hard to gauge that timing. We'll talk after the meeting. That was my first EV, a Kia Soul. So we need to be wrapping up now. Those are very good points about the obstacles that face us, and we are certainly not naive here at Electric Auto Association about the challenges of big players, big money, entrenched stakeholders, and we are ready. We are ready to combat any and all of that with facts, with the reality, with our own personal experience, to make sure that this electrification of mobilization, of how we move around, as it says in the song, we need to change the way we move around, that this is not slowed down. I mean, we exist at Electric Auto to accelerate this, to make sure, because it is not happening fast enough. And we are here to make it happen faster. So I thank you for all of that. We're going to bring Simon up here now to drum roll. We have our election results, and then on to lunch. So here's Simon.
All right. Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. I'm going to announce the results in just a minute, but before I do, I want to just take a moment to honor and pay gratitude to all the nominees who came forward. We have an incredibly diverse group, and we're honored to have such a diverse group of talented, well-meaning people. We have diversity in geography, gender, skills, background, but there's one thing that unites us all. We all have a passion for driving EVs and promoting the rapid adoption of electric vehicles. Every one of the nominees would be a wonderful contribution to the board. Unfortunately, we don't have room for all 9. We only have room for 3. I'm going to ask that these nominees, if you're not elected to the board, please don't go away. Please stay involved. You have so much talent. You can contribute on committees. You can contribute on initiatives. You can contribute on programs, help us form new chapters or help us support existing ones. I'm going to briefly mention each member, and I'm going to ask them if they're present to stand up. If you're watching online, please stand up and take a bow. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize in advance. I'm going to do this. The first one is Nita Delamy, Adrian Doohan, Ron Freund, Mark Jeller. Let's build out the whole list for you. Alex Gruberman, Jennifer Harper, Gerald Potts, James Stevens, and Daniel Walsh. Just a brief round of applause for all the nominees, irrespective of the results. Thank you all. All right, and the results are Ron Freund, Mark Jeller, and James Stevens. Thank you all. I have one more MVP award, and then I think it's going to be time to wrap this up. There's been someone working behind the scenes 24/7 to make all this possible. At one time, I sent her an email asking, how are you juggling so many balls? I'd like to, this time, just take a brief moment to thank our president and chief inspirer, Regine Fellows. Is there anything further?
Mark's going to thank you, Simon, and congratulations. We're going to get lunch, but right before we do so, Mark is going to say a couple words about lunch.
You know who you are if you paid for lunch. There are wraps over here, so take a wrap, take some salad. I think there's probably in the end going to be enough for an extra for the people who want a second wrap, but start with one. If you haven't paid for lunch and you want to, come see me and give me $15. Otherwise, run for it.
And then if you can return to your seats at about 12:30, and Eric, our speaker, will begin then. Thank you.
So challenging. It is. It's fun. It's crazy. It's a crazy crew. And there's now coffee. If anyone wants coffee at the end of the line.